but let's bring up our great new friend, Justin Lin.
I was never really into films at all because we lived in the suburbs, so all we got was like Commando and Commando 2 and stuff like that. You know? The two movies I remember came in was Tucker and Do the Right Thing. And those two movies blew me away as a kid, and I thought, wow, I can make movies differently, you know, and that got me excited. And I remember my first film was $4,000, and I had to work 3 jobs. I worked at a hotel, at the audiovisual services on campus, and at a theater. And it was $4,000. I had to pay for my rent, my tuition. And I remember I almost killed myself, but I loved it so much, and that's when I knew that's something that, you know, I could really get into and stuff. So I remember we got to Toronto, and it was so low budget. I mean, literally the movie, if you watch it, it was scored on a Casio. You know, we didn't have any money. And I remember Roger Ebert was going to go see the movie, and I was so excited. This is Roger Ebert, he's going to go see the movie. And I remember I was really nervous when he was there, and I had this feeling that I wanted to run to him and explain to him if I had more money, I would do it differently or this and that. And it was a horrible feeling, and I realized I never want to feel like that again. And that, you know, it doesn't matter if you make your movie for $200 million or $200. You know, if people are going to invest 2 hours of their lives sitting in a dark room, and you can't make excuses. You know, you just have to make the best movie and let it go. I remember I was just working, and I was writing the script. I would drive off to Vegas, you know, and I would just go on these writing binges. I locked myself in the room and write. And when I felt like it was ready, I remember I thought, this is it. I called my friends. I told all of them, quit your jobs. I'm quitting my job. Let's do it. I got 10 credit cards. Let's go for it. And that's led to Luck Tommorow. Especially when I was taking it out, at that point, every Asian American film that was made before then, none of them really made a profit. So investors, of course, as a business, they're not going to invest in that movie. So then I had to decide, do I make something for business people? Do I make something because I really believe in it, you know? And I remember I did get it to a couple people, and I remember they came back, they thought, you know, well, can you change all the Asian characters to white characters? You know, if we get Macaulay Culkin, we'll give you $2 million to make it. And I remember, you know, these are all kind of forks in the road, you know, and I remember sitting there thinking, no way, I'm not going to do that because, you know, if I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down swinging, you know. So there's these two investors, these two guys that are investors, and they're like millionaires and stuff, and they were, I was like so glad to have met them, and they would make me do these crazy things. I would do whatever they want because I want to get the investment money. You know, and if they told me to jump on the table, I'd probably jump on the table and dance for them if that's what it took. But they didn't respect me because I did whatever they wanted. And I didn't know, and this is part of my learning process. I remember after like 3 weeks of crap, he called me and he's like, nah, we don't want to invest. And he hung up. And I remember I got like really upset. I was like, oh my God, I just got played, you know? And I remember I called him back and I was like, well, screw you. And I told him exactly why I wanted to make the project. And boom, 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 and I hung up. And he called me back and goes, oh, we're going to invest. I was like, that was my lesson. Sometimes, you know, you have to believe what you know, you're believe in yourself, believe in your content, and be your harshest judge. And I remember it was our 3rd screening, and we had the Q&A, and all of a sudden at the end, this guy stands up, and he starts accusing me of, why would you make a movie where you represent your people? You know, like Asian people are good people, but why would you, you know, and it was really interesting. And before I could say anything, people jumped in and became this amazing, like, visceral discourse between everybody. And then all of a sudden, Ebert stood up and Roger was saying how, you know, you would never ask that question of a white filmmaker, you know, and what I love about the fact, and it's not even the fact that he defended the movie, it was the fact that he put it in perspective. A lot of times, Asian Americans or African Americans, they play a certain role in these Hollywood movies, but why can't, you know, we should all be empowered to do whatever we want. A lot of times, people mistaken the whole positive portrayal as like someone has to be just an angel on screen. To me, that's usually a kiss of death because that's not interesting. People are flawed. small or big, you know, and these are things that, you know, as an Asian American filmmaker, I just want to, you know, I just want to feel empowered to be able to try anything I want. And I remember when this came to me and I read it, I didn't want to do the movie, and Stacy Snyder, who was at Universal at the time, she called me in and she's like, why don't you want to do it? And I remember I read the script and I thought it was very offensive because the original script had like gongs and kimonos and Buddha statues everywhere, and I thought, it feels so dated, you know? And to her credit, she's like, you know, well, what would you do? And I said, well, I haven't really been to Tokyo, but from what I've seen, it's so postmodern. You know, we can make this a very kind of global cast, and we should set, it's a fun popcorn Western. Let's have fun with it, and let's not fall into all the things. And she said, well, that's what I want, and I'll let you do that. And that's why I signed on. But it's funny, so the misconception that money makes film, but it doesn't. I mean, I've been on sets where, you know, it's hundreds of millions of dollars, and it's about passion. Even on big studio projects, if you show up and you don't really care, then it's no fun. Nobody really wants to be there. But if you show up and it's like, hey, we can try to rig this, let's try to drift around, and we have fun. You know, it's a different kind of fun, but it's still passion. I think passion is what drives it at the end of the day, and without it, then you could go do something else in life, you know. And I think whether you're making films or whatever you're doing, I think that's the thing that I've learned that I treasure. And every day that I think I feel like I have that, then it's unbelievable.
But most of all, we want to thank Justin for being here today, and I think he spent a few minutes afterwards going one-on-one with you guys. So thank you so much. Big ACM.